And tonight is all about this ruin and these images. It's a ruin I've been coming to for pretty much ever since I started coming up to the Flinders 10 years ago. And what I love about it is that it's in the middle of nowhere. As you can see, it's very expansive around here. There is a road that runs just by here. You can hear a car going past now. The reason I absolutely love this ruin for light painting is it is in the middle of nowhere, so we can get those beautiful expansive images. But tonight, you can see there's a bit of cloud, but it's forecast to clear at about 2 a.m. The Milky Way is going to be just sort of slamming the horizon at about 2, but through the night we should be able to get to play around the ruin. The other thing I love about ruins is there's a lot of texture for us to play with. There's all the rocks and stones and mortar and bits and pieces for us to play with. But this is a tutorial, and what the tutorial is about is simplicity. All I'm going to be doing is using torches and diffusers specifically placed around in the ruin, and I'll take you in and show you in a minute where that might be. And I'm just going to have them because, of course, we're shooting Astro, so the camera is going to be super sensitive. It's going to be, you know, up around ISO 16, 3200, wide open. So our torches can be really, really dim. Yeah, and it's great. We'll be able to just spot them around the ruin and play, and through the night I'll show you how that works. Obviously it's a little easier while it's nice and bright like this. But yeah, we're just going to be placing the torches around the ruin to illuminate it, and then banging out some Milky Way shots. So we're going to do a few different things. The first thing we're going to do is create some star trails. And it's a perfect location for doing that. Again, it's big and expansive, and so we're going to put the ruin at the bottom of the image, and then we're going to just fill the sky with stars moving through the frame, which are going to be absolutely gorgeous. We're still going to light the ruin with a few torches, so that'll be really nice. Again, super simple but really effective because of the scale of the place. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to do some like just short exposure Milky Way shots, 20-30 seconds, and I'll be getting in there and doing a bit of light painting. Again, the tone of the weekend is 2 or 3 tools: a torch, an orb tool, and a blade. And so we're just going to be keeping it really simple, and we're just going to be talking through the methods I use to get those nice big Astro shots. Yeah, which is what this is all about. Last night was great. It was a little bit cloudy, kind of like this, and then the cloud went away at about midnight. What I do know is we're not going to be able to have a fire here. This is, what I do know is we're not going to be able to have a fire here. This is private property. I've met the owner. She's always keen for us to be here on the property, which is nice, but we won't be having a fire. So it is going to be ridiculously cold, but that's all right, because I'll be moving around like a banana. Brilliant. Well, there we go. So I'll take you over and I'll show you in the room what I'm talking about with some angles and some texture, and where we're going to be putting our torches. Yes. One of the things I do love about this ruin is this area in here, which was their lounge room. And it's really cool because you can get in there and do some light painting and have the stars and sky behind us. And I've made a lot of images here around this area here, which are just gorgeous because, you know, it's easy to get in and out. It's easy to create light on the walls. You can bounce some light around in there. But this is a beautiful angle, this one, because it looks up, and it's, you know, you've got the hills in the background and the open expanse, and then the massive sky above it. And I'll show you inside. Okay, so here we are inside the ruin, and it's quite deceptive. From over there, it looks quite small, but in here, it's really big. And there's a couple of things that I love about it in here. Although it's quite dirty and rocky, and I tend not to move stuff around inside these ruins, and a lot of them, the floor area is kind of covered in stuff. But over here and all around here are these nice sort of open spaces. And what that means is that if we're spinning orbs or moving around, A, it's safe, and B, we don't have to move anything. And it's an important thing to remember is that to a lot of people, their families have lived in these ruins. They mean something quite special to them. And if we just come in here and just knock stuff around and behave inappropriately, A, we're not going to get invited back. But B, this is someone's history. It's someone's, you know, it probably means something to a lot of people. So when you're coming into places like this, always ask for permission and always treat the buildings with respect. That is so important. But yeah, it's a great area in here. Yeah, just perfect for what we're going to be doing. I love it. And I'll show you one of the other reasons I love it in here. Now later on we're going to be in here and we want to be lighting up the inside of the ruin. And we're going to be using these, which is just a basic Claris with a Claris diffuser on it. And what I do love about ruins is this, watch this. So let's say that our camera is round the corner and we want to light up this corner of the room a bit. I can find little spots to just wedge my torch in here and just leave it sitting there. And that way we can get light coming down on things. I do have little stands that I'll show you later that we put the torch into, but these are great because I can choose how high I want it to stand. Oh, you can't see that. But yeah, we can just find little spots and wedge them in there and our torch will just set up nice and high and spread the light around. And this ruin is covered, you know, these walls are all like this, so it makes it great for designing and shaping our lighting. So let's think about that. When we're deciding where we're going to put our torches, the most important thing, and this is the process that I work through, I'll take you through here actually. Okay, we're out the back side of the, we'll think through the night, I'll be talking about the back side and the front side of the room. The front side is the road facing side, but it's also where we look into the ruin. But what I know by using my Photographer's Ephemeris app is that we're going to be basically positioning our cameras when the Milky Way is coming down behind the ruin and facing that way, because that is where the Milky Way is going to be. And here's some neat things that I love about ruins. There's a window here, and in that window we can easily set up shots where we light up the outside of the ruin or whatever, but then inside it's easy for us just to do a bit of zhuzh with blading or spin an orb in there that'll just fill the window. It can look really gorgeous. We've got amazing texture on the ground as well, just gorgeous texture on the ground. I'll turn around and I'll show you another amazing thing we've got here. So over here, as with a lot of these ruins, what we've got over the back here is just a bit of a rubbish pile. And in that rubbish pile is there's all this wire and rusted wire and wood and things. So just again, gorgeous texture, beautiful shape. And through the night, I might get that in the foreground of the shot so that we have the Milky Way behind it. And it's all about lighting it. We'll just be positioning our torches around delicately. We may use the torch to sort of light it up a little bit, or we may even drop a torch into that scraggly bunch of stuff there. You can walk around a ruin like this, especially if it's the first time you've ever been there, and you'll think you have this gorgeous shot in your mind. You know exactly how it's going to look, you know exactly where the light's going to be and where it's going to come from, and then you come back later, especially when there's no moon and it's pitch black, and you forget exactly what you thought about, the ideas that you had, the textures that you saw or the shapes or whatever. So it's really important, if you get the opportunity, to come and spend some time walking around, get a feel for the space, get an idea of where things are. Again, and we touched on this last night, it's really important to just get a gauge for the ground. Now there is just so much stuff on the ground here. So later on when it's pitch black, it's really important that I make sure that I'm just careful when I'm walking around. I know the areas that are dangerous, there's a bit of iron around and stuff. If you fall and cut yourself on that, shit's going to get serious pretty quick. All right, so anyway, look, I'll show you around a little bit. I'm going to walk around and have a bit of a look and make sure that I'm aware of where things are, get some ideas. I know where the Milky Way is going to be later on. Yeah, but basically I'm here now. I'm thinking about where I'm going to put my torches. I'm thinking about the shaping of the light, but we're not going to know really that until later on when it's dark. And I'll come back and we'll get into it then. The ruin, Astro, let's get into it. I'm so excited. Woo! Ah. Well, I cannot tell a lie. I knew it was going to get cold. It's starting to get a little chilly. I'm not even sure what the time is, but we're here at the ruin doing some Astro and ruin lighting. We had a look around the ruin earlier today. As you're going to see in a minute, the Milky Way is still quite high, but I am absolutely freezing and I need to keep moving. So I've got an idea. I want to work through with you the process that I use to build the lighting or build the lighting around a ruin or a building that I'm in. And there is a process, there's a way that I think about it, there's a way I go through the process. and we're going to do that together. I'll talk you through it first. Earlier today we had a walk through the ruin, and we got familiarized ourselves with the layout, what was on the floor. We thought about safety and all those sort of really important things. But it's not really until we get out here and we see where, especially when we're doing Astro or when the moon is out, we know where the moon is, or we know where for me, the galactic core is. And I'm sort of getting a feel now of where it's going to be, so we can decide the position of the camera around the building. Unfortunately, the back side of the building, which is where we are, is kind of the boring side of the building. There's just a wall and a little window. The other side is wide open, so it's a lot more interesting to do the light painting with. But because of the position of the Milky Way, which is sinking down on the other side of the building, so we're going to catch that over the next few hours, we need to work with the back side. So basically what I've decided to do then is go nice and wide. So we've pulled right back from the building so that we can sort of see all of the sort of important features in the building. But we want to start lighting it. If we take an exposure, now, I've just did a test one before, so I'll bring it up. And what you can see is, yes, you can see the Milky Way and you can see the galactic core. It's quite high, but of course the building is just a black silhouette down below. And we want to highlight the building in the shot. Now, later on, as the Milky Way comes down, we can probably get a little tighter and have some fun around the building. But for the purpose of this exercise, I want to show you something. We are pretty much going to be using these, which are a basic Claris torch. Now I've put a gel in here. So what I've done is we've got the torch here, and then I've got a gel. I've got a gel here, and we've got the diffuser. And what I do is I take the gel and we push the torch into there. And what that does, this is a yellowy sort of color that I really like, and we push that in, and what happens is it makes the diffuser yellow. And that's great for if you want to make the inside of the building yellow. I'm quite tired and I'm quite cold, so you'll have to bear with me tonight. I'm a little slow, I'm rugged up, but we'll see how we can go. Okay, so I've chosen yellow. Traditionally I would pick quite an orange color for the inside of the building, but tonight we're going to use a bit of a yellow color because the building is quite orange and we want to sort of stand it out a little bit. If you wanted to go crazy, you could put greens and bits and pieces in there. What I'm going to do first for our first sort of setup shot is I'm just going to go straight into the main body of the building that we saw earlier today, and I'm just going to lay this on the floor so it's slap bang in the middle of the building. And yeah, and we'll see and then we'll do a test exposure and we see how it goes. All right, I'm going to wander over and do that. So I've put the torch in there, and just for shits and giggles, I have just going to turn these lights off so we can do a test shot. Now the camera that we're using is the Olympus EM1mkiii, which is very cool, because it has the Starry Sky Auto Focus. We put it onto autofocus. I'll turn this big light off as well. All right, lights are off. And by hitting the back button, it will, boom, it will go and automatically focus on the stars, which is so bloody good when you're doing Astro. Okay, so let's do a test shot. I have the, so we're using the 7 to 14mm f2.8. We're at ISO 3200. Now I have, like I say, for shits and giggles, I've put that torch in there on full power. So let's go, let's take a test shot. 30 seconds. Whoa. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, let's hit play. And zoom in and take a look. All right, so all the stars are in focus, which is nice. Oh, look at that. Okay, so the inside of the building is just completely blown out. totally blowing out, all right, obviously, because I put the torch on full power. So I'm going to head over now and I am going to, so I'll head over and I'm going to turn the power of the torch down a bit. Okay, let's see how that goes. So we'll do another test shot. So it looks a lot dimmer already. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do another test shot. Boom. All right, let's take a look. So we'll have it zoom, we have it, press play, come down. So what we are looking for is, we need to see texture in those bricks. And look at that, it's completely blown out, which is bonkers. So what we actually need to do in that case, let me have a look at our settings. I think we're on quite a high ISO, 3200. And I kind of like ISO 3200 for the stars. So what I need to do now is I need to go and put it on its absolute lowest setting, which is interesting. But not surprising. I mean, we need to remember that the sensitivity of the camera is set up for those tiny little twinkly stars up there. Okay, let's have another crack. So the amazing thing now is I can barely, so I open the shutter, I can barely see the torch through those windows. But when you think about it, we're picking up the light from those tiny dim stars. So just by having just the ultra dim torch in there, it'll be interesting to see. All right, that's better. Let's press play. Yeah, that's a lot better. Look at that. All right, so we'll zoom down. We'll come down to where that's better. Awesome. So if we look in there now, if I zoom in, yeah, look at that. We can see the bricks. So we can see the texture in the bricks. That's perfect. And what I really like is that we can see the light coming out of both the doors. It's beautiful. We can kind of see the inside of the building and we can see a bit of Milky Way coming down. It's going to be bonkers when that comes all the way down. So it's still a bit boring. So I have another, I'm going to go and get another, torch with another diffuser. And what I'm going to do is over to the left hand side of the building here. I want to light up this part of the building over here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come over and I'm going to pop a torch here, tucked off to the side there. All right, I've popped another torch over there. Hopefully light up the left-hand side there a bit. Let's have a look at that. I should be able to see from here. Oh yeah, that's pretty bright. It's probably going to be way too bright, but let's do a test shot anyway. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's lit up the left hand side there, but again, if we zoom in, yeah, it's a little bit too bright. Oh, okay, so we have, all right, so let's take a bit of a look at those. So we're slowly starting to build the light up. I don't think I need to take you through every single step. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to spend a bit of time around the building, adding torches, adding light here and there, just to build some shape. I'll show you the images as I go through them. And the cool thing is, as you'll actually see, is the Milky Way starting to come down into the shot. And by the time we're ready to go for our killer shot, for our main shot, yeah, the Milky Way should be down, and I'll have some nice shape around the building, and I'll talk you through them when we get there. All right, I'm going to move around a bit. It is freezing. Woo! I'll see you in a minute. All right, so let's have a bit of a wander around and have a look at where I put some of these lights. So to light the front of the building here, or the face of the building we are looking at, I have tucked a little torch down in here. Now, the reason I have, you can see there's those bits of wood behind it there. The reason for that is the camera is looking from this angle here, so you can't see it, but it's illuminating the side of the building here, which is very cool. So that one is down there. Then there's the one in the building. Now I've just changed the color of that one to blue, and the reason I changed it to blue, where is it? There it is, tucked in there. So the reason I've changed this one to blue is because it was all a bit sort of red. So I had the red and the yellow and bits and pieces, and it was all a bit much. So I've changed this one to blue, and that blue one is really nice because what it's doing is, you can see looking through the window, that's where it is, and it's kind of light, it's edge lighting the edge of the window, but that wall up back there, it's lighting up that as well. Then what I've done is over here, we're just keeping it to a bit of a minimum. Over here you can see this one here. So that's lighting up this area here. That's over where the window is over there, and the camera is behind us over here. So that one is sitting there, and it is sort of lighting up that back wall, and it's also lighting up the rubbish pile here, which is pretty neat. So those are basically I'm just using 3 torches. We're just keeping it real simple. 3 torches. That one's tucked away. I do that quite regularly. That's quite clever, clucking that one behind the wood there. Awesome. So those are our 3 torches. Oh, well, it's time to get serious. If for no other reason, my glasses are over there. I can't even see if I'm in focus. Let's hope. Oh, it's time to get serious. If for no other reason than my face is starting to hurt. It's so cold. I'm an old man now, so I struggle a bit with the cold. Now, it's been about an hour since I last saw you. I want to show you something. While we were just sort of hanging around waiting, I did a bit of a star trail. Just sometimes if I'm going to be sitting around waiting for any event to happen, whether it's light to come or light to go, or, you know, in this case, the Milky Way to move nice and low, I like to just do something fun. And here we did a bit of a star trail. So looking at that, we can see, if I zoom in, we can see all the different components of the lighting around the building. We've got the blue inside. We've got our bit of a light over to the left there, which is a little bit hot on a spot there, which I don't actually like. I might just go shift that. We've got our light on the ground, and we even got a little bit of light over on the right there from me when I was doing some stuff over by the bags. So the Milky Way is down, I think, at the right height. I've spent a bit of time lighting the building. I showed you around those. So I'm happy that we've got enough light on the building. So in effect, we have light painted the building because we're adding light. But let's do a test shot. I want to show you how it looks without doing an epic star trail. So we'll just turn all our bits and pieces on. We'll turn these lights off, and let's do a test shot. And then we're going to start doing some stuff. Alrighty, so I'm going to fire off a test shot. Let's get out of live composite from our... So we need to move on to bulb. Here we go. We're at ISO 3200 f2.8. let's go. Boom. All right, see you in 30 seconds. Oh, audio, good. Okay, oh wow, that's absolutely bonkers if we hit play. Yeah, that's so nice. I mean, there's so much to love about this image, really. You know, we zoom in, everything's looking good around the ruin. I mean, look, I could spend all night, if I'm honest, you know, really getting that spot on. Look, I am going to go over and just move that light. There's a little hot spot I don't like. So basically what we're going to be doing is as the Milky Way starts coming down, I just want to start playing around the building. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this blade, which I've changed the color to blue because I've got the inside of the building as blue. And I just want to go and move around in there because I think the effect that it will give us is that the blade is creating the blue inside the building. So we're going to go to the same procedure that we did last night, our standard procedure with our remotes. So I'm going to put the remote on a 5-second delay. All right, and that means I can head inside with the headlamp on. All right, I'm inside. The blade is on its lowest setting. Now, one of the real benefits of being inside a ruin is that it doesn't really matter our starting and stopping, because it doesn't really matter with our starting and stopping because I can start the blade down outside the window. All right, 5-second delay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I know the shutters are open, but what I want to do is I want to just swoosh past the window. Always remembering, less is more. Okay, that shutter is shut and I'm back here. Let's take a look. Whoa, that's pretty crazy. I like that. Though we look in the building, what it's done. That's great, it's funny. I mean, it's wild really when you think about it, just having a bit of light painting stuck out the window there. So what I'm going to do is, I like that, I think it's pretty fun. But I'm going to just sort of step it up a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it by the window, and then I'm going to come out the side. I'm going to come out the side by the door, and I'm going to come out to the left by the little walkway. So basically what it's going to look like is there's just blue light spewing out of the building. So same procedure, pop inside. Okay, I'm going to put the tool down onto its dimmest setting, start the remote, look over, I can see the red lights on the top open. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit by the window here. And then I'm going to come over to the side door and I'm going to, wow. I just zhuzhed a bit outside the door there, but then I'm going to go over the other side over here. Hopefully inside the time. I hope I got that all inside of 30 seconds. All right, let's take a look. Whoa! That's kind of the idea. Let's take a look. Oh, that's funny. Oh, all of that trouble. You know, it's interesting. I kind of like the idea. It's a bit over the top, if I'm honest. I like the idea. But I do just quite like just simple, nice, gentle painting in the building. I do have an idea that we're going to do in a bit, but yeah, sometimes sometimes an idea doesn't work and we can just shut it down straight away like this one. So we'll put the blade away, no problem. See you, mate. So what I want to do is I just want to leave this gentle light on the building, and I'm actually just going to start moving the camera around a little bit, and only subtly, up and down a little bit, move it around a bit as the Milky Way comes down. I just want to make sure. I'm just going to press play. Yeah, I'm really liking the texture and shape we're getting in the building, which is nice. That Milky Way is really extreme. I love it. I didn't like the blue blade thing. Sometimes an idea can just die a very quick death, like that one did. I kind of liked the one just in the window, which was pretty cool. But one of the things I want to do is just start moving the camera around a little bit. And an idea I've got, I'm just going to come a little bit in closer, and I'm going to spin our green Astro ball that we were using last night inside the window. And that's really nice. I've done that before here, and you can just get this. It's really cool just sort of filling the window with a bit of an orb. So I'm going to move the camera a little closer for that, and then go spin an orb. All right, let's do that. So let's get we'll move the camera just a little closer, because what that'll do is that will bring into play, it'll make the Milky Way just a little closer. Now I'll leave this camera here. All right. Now I do always like to refocus, and I'm going to reframe down a touch. Now I will just put some light on here so you can see what's going on. Okay, we should be able to see. Yep, we can see the ruin there. Okay. So here's the thing. As we start moving the camera around, we want to just stay orientated as to where the Milky Way is, where the ruin is. I'm going to go and spin an orb in the window. We don't want it to be too distorted, and focus up. We're using the Starry Sky Auto Focus, but if you're not, okay, I'll just go get the head that we're going to use, the ball of light. All right, here we go. So I've got the look at that. Oh, it's a little green Astro head, which is designed for really, really, really sensitive settings on the camera. Okay, I'm going to dial these lights down. Now, of course, you'll remember, if we're spinning an orb, we need to be going for 90 seconds. So I am just going to change the remote here to 90 seconds. 1.5 minutes. I'm going to wander over and go inside. Now, obviously, we want the camera to be able to see the orb. So if I can see the camera can see me, funnily enough. Okay, so I've got my spot in here where I'm going to do my spin. Turn my headlamp off. Start my remote. It's a 5-second delay. And here we go. And look, the nice thing about, I love this sort of idea of looking through windows. in seeing our light painting. I think it's really cool. It's almost like it sets a mystery. What's going on? What's he doing in there? What's he building in there? Alrighty, let's take a look. Let's take a look how that went. Whoa! Okay, that's all pretty extreme. Now I know what's happened there. Holy moly, look at that. Wow. Yeah, like it's over, again, you know, it's one of these things, it's over the top. But far out, that is so nuts. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm a bit overwhelmed really by that. I mean, I asked myself, is the Milky Way, is it too bright? Is the Milky Way too bright? Maybe not, I don't know. The thing with 90 seconds, of course, is that we do get some longer star trails. I mean, we could come across a bit. I mean, it feels like this, the core of the Milky Way is a bit, I don't know, it's a funny one. What I might do is I might just dial the ISO down. I might just dial the ISO down. 1600, and we'll go again, because 90 seconds is a lot longer. Alrighty, let's go. Have another attempt, another go. So I was happy with the spot, so the same spot. Got my marker here. Let's go. All right, how was that one? Shit, it's still pretty extreme, really, isn't it? Let's take a look. What do we got here? We got a mad Milky Way. Let's zoom in and have a look. Yeah, the building looks bonkers. Got an orb in the door there. The building's orange. It's still. You gotta laugh. I mean, really. I mean, it's over the top. That Milky Way is so extreme. Yeah, look, I like it. I don't even really know, you know, what we would do more. We've spun an orb, we've done some blading. You know, maybe we would just move around a bit, get down a bit lower, maybe. Let's give that a nudge. Let's get the camera, let's get it down a bit lower. Okay, a bit of light on the building there just to reframe. So we've come down a lot lower. Let's come around a bit. All right, so we've changed our framing a little bit. I'm going to go back in and spin an orb. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Bloody hell! You know what I'm going to do? Let's spin an orb right here, right in front of the bloody thing. Let's not hide away. All right. So I'm going to spin an orb sort of in the front. It'll be interesting to see how much distortion there is. It is always something to be conscious of. All right. All right. Here we go. Shutters open. Oh, that's hilarious. I've already lost the point that I was spinning around. So I'll just pick another one, which means my orb will be wonky as all heck. But that's all right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's leave the actual tutorial there. I think we've had a bunch of fun. I'm freezing my date off. It's very late. I got a big drive back to Adelaide tomorrow. But let's have a little bit of a look at some of these pics. Well, that's the last one we did, spinning an orb. That's nuts. Obviously, a wide angle lens, we get crazy distortion in the orb. I think we're wide enough there to maybe pull it back in post. I'll show you how we do that. Okay, well here we are in Lightroom taking a peek at some of these images, and the one that we were just looking at on the screen is here, and I thought this would be a perfect image for us to take a look at a bit of post-processing for this session. You can see if we take a look through the images, there were some absolute crackers in there. I love this one here with the star trail using live composite. These are always a huge amount of fun. But let's take a look at this image here. And the reason I want to go through a bit of post with this one with you, because it is interesting to see how we manage the ball of light. It's quite distorted. We were very wide. We were, as you can see up here in the top right hand corner, we were at 7mm f2.8 at ISO 1600. Now, obviously at ISO 1600 on most cameras, we're going to have, for a long exposure, we're going to have a little bit of a noise. But what I love about this particular photo is that all in all, it's incredibly sharp. You know, there's a bit of texture in the sky here, but that never bothers me. It never bothers me. You know, my first impressions looking at the images, we need to fix the orb. I don't like this little hot spot down here where we can see a little bit of the torch, but we'll have a quick discussion about that after. So I'm going to pretty quickly go through how I manage dealing with an image like this. So let's just get into it. So the very first thing I always do with these is I manage the distortion. And we come down here into the transform screen. I hover the mouse over the vertical button, and I'm using the up and down arrows. So I'm going down with the arrow, and I get it until I feel like the proportions of the orb are correct, obviously apart from the left and right. And then I come across and we use the aspect, and I'm using the up arrow to get the aspect until I feel like the orb is about right, which is about sort of there. I mean, it's always a balance. You're never going to get it absolutely perfect. So yeah, I just play with it a little bit, and then I might give it a bit of a tweak that way. But fundamentally, you know, I just get it till I'm kind of happy with it. I'm just going to give it a little bit more in that way. Cool. So that works really well. Now, obviously, the main issue we have now is that we have all of this white area around here. Now, I am just going to move it till it feels like the horizon is around about right. What I would normally do is I normally try and get what's in the center of the screen straight. So we've still got a bit of distortion on the wall over here, and we've still got a bit of distortion here. And then what I do is I grab my crop tool, I turn the lock off, and then we just come in, bonk, and give it some here. Crop it up until there's nothing and go to the minimum. And there it is. Now, obviously the challenge with this, and I knew this when I was taking it, is that it's no longer a 16:9 crop or anything. It's fundamentally square, although we can do some more cropping afterwards. Now, I'm not a great processor of Astro images, but I know what I like. And I'm going to do all of these adjustments here in Lightroom. I'm not going to take it out into Photoshop. And my, if you call it a philosophy, is I just want people that look at this image to know that all of the pixels that they see are the pixels that were on the screen. Of course, like all photography, really all we're going to be doing is making basic adjustments and a bit of dodging and burning. So the main areas I want to concentrate on are down here in the window. I want to make sure we can always see that. You know, it's a little blown out at the top of the orb. We've got some Milky Way here, and we just want to highlight those things. So really all we're going to do, sometimes I do just hit the auto button, and look at that. That's obviously completely nuts. So I'll just Control Z out of that. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bump up the clarity a little bit. just ever so slightly. What I do tend to do though is I go all the way. I go whack over to the right and see what happens and then come back. I do that with most of my settings. I want a bit of contrast. Now, for those of you there who process a lot of Astro images, you might find this rather funny, but I don't know. I'm learning about Astro. Bit of saturation. Now, it's all very warm, and I am just going to take a bit of white balance out of it. The sky was quite orange this night down here, but that's okay. I'm going to come down to sharpening. Now, if we look in here, if we zoom in quite tight, what happens with sharpening is that if you dial up your sharpening, right, if we crank it, it does the sharpening everywhere. So even in your areas here in between the stars, it sharpens that. So a little trick is if we hover the mouse over the masking and then I hold Option and then I move the masking thing across, what you see is it shows you all of the areas where your sharpening is actually going to take place. And we just want sharpening, if we even want it, to be taking place on the edges of things, not into the main body of the image. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of sharpening on there. I'm going to give it a little bit of noise reduction. Not a lot. I mean, I don't mind the texture that's in there at all, because obviously, as soon as we start removing noise, we start to lose detail. I always click Remove Chromatic Aberration, especially with Astro, because there's always a bit of chromatic aberration in there. Now look, I'm not really going to change a lot more down there, but what I am going to do is start playing up here with a little bit of contrast. Highlights and shadows. We don't want too many shadows. I mean, the foreground, it is what it is. If we wanted to light the foreground, I would have put a bit of light actually in there. We don't really need to mess with the highlights too much. I mean, it's all kind of there, really. But here's what I'm going to do. In Lightroom is this tool here, which is the adjustment brush. Now, I am just going to reset everything there, move it across a bit, and I'm scrolling up and down on my mouse to change the size of it. And I just want to add a bit of detail into the center of the Milky Way here. So I've held the mouse down and I'm just sort of swiping through the middle of the Milky Way there. And then what we can do is we can start adjusting just where we put that brush. Now I'll give you an idea. I'm just going to take the exposure dial and we'll dial it down. So that's the area that we're working on. And you can see there if we dial it up. But of course, I just want to use delicate adjustments. So I'm just going to increase the exposure ever so slightly. Bit of saturation just to bring out some detail in that center bit there. Maybe even a little bit of clarity. I know it's extreme, but why not? Highlights? No, we want a bit of that. And just for fun, I'm just going to close that, and I am going to just reduce the overall saturation a little bit. And I'm happy with that. Look, we haven't really, I mean, if we wanted to, we could grab another brush. I think, how does that work? I think we grab another one, and I could just grab this bit of the sky here and down here a bit. And we could just, basically it's kind of like dodging and burning, really. We're just going to have a tweak on this sky here. And I'll show you just by reducing the exposure, we can see all we're doing there is just taking I want to take some blacks out, just slightly. Just again to highlight that core of the Milky Way. And the thing to always remember, we're not adding when we're removing pixels, we're just making adjustments. Since the beginning of photography, this is what's happened. People have dodged and burned in bits and pieces. Now I want to see if we go into my favorite 16:9 crop, how much are we going to lose of that Milky Way if we bring it in to there, to there. I mean, not too much.
So we will just bring it up a bit. I do like seeing that Milky Way. Yeah, cool. Look, I'm kind of happy with that. I think it's pretty neat. I am just going to reduce. Just going to cool it down a little bit again though. See, I'm just using the white balance up here. Whatever. I give you. Oh, there we go. So we lost a bit of the. I'm going to warm it up a bit again. It's all a balance. It's all a balance. Look, I'll leave it there. Like I keep saying, there are those of you out there who are Milky Way connoisseurs who will, Astro connoisseurs that will laugh at what I'm doing. But I like that. If I was being really fussy, I might remove this little hot spot down here. But and the way that I would do that without going out of Lightroom is I would just do this. And it just gets rid of it. But I'm not going to do that because we don't like to remove or add pixels. All right. So I'm just going to export that, and I'm going to look at that. It hasn't put it back. Oh. I'll reset and close. Cool, it's back. Okay, so let's export that. So we go File, Export. I'm going to export it back into my folder for the ruin, and I'm going to export it at full size. And I'm also going to, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm really happy. I think it looks fine. So there you go, a bit of post-processing. Let's put it back into the tutorial. See you soon.
Orb inside, that's a bit of fun. Massive Milky Way. I'm so looking forward to seeing how these come out in post. It should be massive. That one was, what happened there? ISO 90 seconds at ISO 3200. That'll be interesting. All right, and then look, just a bit of fun with blades inside the building. A bit of a, good fun. Look, what we've done exactly what I wanted to do. It's just delicately light the building, get some big ass Milky Way. Took a lot of planning. I mean, look, my favorite one for the night, it's got to be that. I mean, ball of light inside the ruin. It's a bit of a classic for me. Look, we'll leave it there. I'm heading back to Adelaide tomorrow. Just quietly. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but a week from now we're actually launching the School of Light. So it's been a huge little period for me. So what are we going to take away from tonight? Well, look, Astro's hard for me. I really struggle. I haven't done it a lot. I'm learning so much around Astro, and I hope that you've enjoyed coming on the journey a little bit with me with this one. It's about texture, it's about shaping light, but as with all of these things, look, it's about the adventure. It's a bit of a drive up here, 5 or 6 hours. It's been a huge amount of fun, but it's always part of the fun for me. I like the images, whether you like them or not. I hope it's inspired you to maybe go outside and have a crack at cranking your ISO and having a shot at some Astro. I was just packing up, and I thought it might be interesting for you to sort of see the carnage that is a tutorial site. Sometimes there's a chair, there's 2 pretty chunky camera bags, there's always a bunch of cameras and tools and bits and pieces, but there's a lot involved. There's a bit involved in bringing stuff. I have to be very selective about what tools I bring, what cameras I bring, because I got to carry it all in and carry it all out. But anyway, for what it's worth, this is what a tutorial site looks like. It's very late and I'm very tired. I need to go to bed. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this visit to the School of Light. Just a friendly reminder that I support the channel by the sale of light painting tools over on the website. I hand make everything there, and I hope you find something to take away on your light painting journey. Of course, subscribing to the channel, sharing with people that you think might like some light in their life would be a massive help. I hope you have fun. Peace.